All right guys, Billy here with Good Breeze. We're on the beach today. I have 4 of the top e-foil, foil assist, wave riding electric machines on the market, and I'm gonna ride them and I'm gonna test them and I'm gonna tell you exactly what I think about each one, and so you can make a determination on what's the best for you and your style. So starting off with the LiftX, I have the 4.8. This is the middle of the range in their sizes. It's gonna have the stock setup with the 148 Havoc, the 26 flow tail, and it's going to basically be the low propulsion system to start. I do have the high propulsion system that I'm going to test today for my first time. That is an add-on item, does not come stock with it. That price-wise comes in at $14,495, so about $14,500. Next, moving on to the Fliteboard Ultra L2. This has the MN Carbon Wave C propulsion system. It's got the 1000 wave front wing and the Flow 245C tail wing, and this thing comes in just under 16,000. I think it's 15,795. And I have the nano battery in this, and then I have the Foil Drive Max. It's on a kind of an older Freedom Fusion foil board here, and I have the new high power motor with this, which I have not tried yet, and a 3-blade prop, and I have a 12-centimeter cable with it, so it's a real high cable. You know, typically I ride a 15 or 20-centimeter cable on the Slim, but this is going to be pretty close to kind of these setups, so I'm going to try it this way. It's on an Armstrong setup, 795 performance mast, Armstrong MA 1190 front wing, which is pretty new. I've only ridden it a few times, and the Dart 140 tail. And then we have the Flitelab Amp, and that I was riding on the Flitelab 1010 and the 82-centimeter mast. And going back to price-wise, I missed on this, the Foil Drive Max. This setup kind of complete. I mean, it's all going to depend on what you put on board and foil-wise, but you're probably going to be just under 9-10 grand on this, depending on your accessories. And then with the Flitelab Amp, you're going to be about $8,000 for the board jet assembly, and then you could put whatever foil you want on it. If you put the Flitelab stuff, you're going to be close to the $3,000 range to add that Flitelab. So a full assembly there is probably close to this, maybe a little bit more to the foil drive in the $10,000, $11,000 range. So that kind of gives you a quick overview of what I'm going to ride, prices on those. If you have more questions on pricing, reach out to us here at Good Breeze. And if you enjoy these videos, please make sure to like and subscribe so we can keep them coming. We're going to go give them a test and let you know what we think. So I took these guys out, I compared them back to back, rode them, tested them, did similar maneuvers on all of them, got a good feel. And so now I'm gonna go through pros and cons of each, starting with the LiftX. This by far was my favorite for ease of use, quick connect, disconnect. I mean, everything is super, super simple. I love that. It makes it very, very easy to store, to transport, all those types of things. It was also the quietest of the bunch. Super smooth feel, super quiet when cruising out in nature. I had a little interaction circling a big old manta ray. I saw some turtles and super quiet. They didn't even hear me coming. I like that fact about it. The high propulsion option is great. Here I'm holding the low propulsion option with the prop down low. I rode the hyper prop as well, which I really liked. It gave it a lot more of like a similar to a foil drive feel, that foil assist feel, but you still had all the endless power of the lift foils. So I really like that as an option. It's good to have both, and I think it gives you the real versatility of this thing. My other favorite thing about these is the foils. You get the lift foils, so they have tons of options, lots of good foils, so you can swap out whatever foil you want. I was riding it the stock package that comes with the 148 Havoc, but I've ridden it with other foils and it feels great, and it's just nice to have that option and be able to change out to a company that has really good foils. So going into some cons on the LiftX, I thought the hand controller is a little bit bigger. It comes with the Elite hand controller now. It's a little bit bigger than it really needs to be compared to the others. It's a little bit bulky. Works well, had no real issue with it. Just I feel like it could be smaller for what it is. They're gonna come out with another hand controller down the road from what I understand, and hopefully that one's a little bit smaller. It does have a very torquey feel on the throttle control. So when you're going to start, it's real torquey, and with the low mount, it wants to kick out from underneath you. So that takes a lot of getting used to. You really got to be high on the front, on the nose of the board to keep that down. So it's a little bit trickier to ride. When you put the high propulsion mast on it, it actually makes it way easier to ride and gets up like super simple as far as getting up. But then you just got to watch out for coming out, the prop out, and that kind of thing. But that torquey feel is different than a lot of the other foils. The other thing I don't like is you can't travel with the battery on a plane. It's not plane rated yet, it's too big. They are gonna come out with lighter battery for this next year. Will it be travel worthy? I don't know if it's gonna be in those specs yet, but I sure do hope so. Overall, I really like this for smoothness and ease of use. Moving on to the Flite Ultra L2. So what I really liked about this one is how light it is. Man, is it super light. Lighter than the LiftX, so it's really easy to kind of carry down to the beach. You do have different battery options. I used it with the nano battery, which is the smallest battery, which I like for the performance of it. I feel like it was very, very well balanced when I was riding the foil. It felt really smooth and well balanced. And you could get different options with that, like I said, with that. And when you buy this, you can get it with different configurations, whereas the LiftX, you can't. So this L2 is super, super lightweight. I really like that. And it felt really, really balanced while riding. Nice smooth center of gravity when turning and carving. So I did really, really like that. I like the look and feel of the board itself. Overall, I think it's a great, just smooth overall ride. Another thing I really like about the Fliteboard Ultra is the inline propulsion system. So that propulsion system is in line with the front wing. I think that gives it a real smooth and direct feel, especially when you get really high on the mast. You don't have to really worry about the prop coming out. You know you're kind of at the same height as you would be when you're proning, when you're foiling, and you know about that same height all you have to worry about is the wing coming out, not really the prop coming out. So I did really like that. The mast on this is really nice. It's really streamlined. The propulsion system is super small and thin. So I really enjoyed and thought that was a great feature of this Ultra L2. Another thing I really like about this is it's configurable at purchase. So when you're buying this, you can pick what batteries you want, masts you want, foils you want, etc. And it will be compatible with the Flitelab foils, which I think are going to be great addition to this and make it kind of open it up a lot and give it a lot more performance than it has now. This board probably has the most safety features of all the ones we've ridden so far. It has tons of different built-in safety features, one of which is when you have to hit the throttle, you then have to give it a click a minus button with your thumb or your other hand before it'll initiate. It won't just automatically throttle up. So moving on to cons, one thing I didn't like about this is all those safety features. Honestly, I thought it was a little overkill. I'm like, if I'm in the waves and I want to be able to hit the throttle and go when I want to go, you can't really do that. You have to hit it, oh, you want to go? Yes, I want to go, then go. And to me, that was kind of overkill. And I see it for beginners. I don't think there's no way to turn it off as far as I understand, but I would like to be able to turn that off. I also thought overall, it's a little bit more bits and pieces than I was expecting, and it took us a little while to get everything put together and assembled and update the app. The app has a lot of features in it, which is a pro, but a con is that it made me update before I could ride it. And then a couple other little things, just making sure you have a spacer if you're using the nano battery to fill in the space inside the hatch, and a couple other little things. I also did not like the foils that come from Fliteboard. They just did not have the glide or pumpability that I wanted in the waves. Right now, that's what they come with, is a Fliteboard foils. Again, I think once the Flitelab foils start coming available for this, and you can get those flux foils, I think that's gonna really open this thing up and make it a game changer. And then I think you're gonna see the performance of this be like really, really fun. It is a little bit higher price point too than the LiftX, and only comes in the one color and size option, whereas the LiftX comes in 3 different colors and size options. So that's my thoughts on the Fliteboard Ultra L2. Moving on to the foil drive. Here I rode the foil drive Max, and one of the pros of the foil drive is you can really put it with whatever foil setup and board setup you want. It works with almost any foil board that doesn't have a carbon track box or full carbon board. And if it does, you can always get an antenna to make that work. And you can put pretty much any foil setup on it. So that is definitely a pro, is you can take your existing foil gear if you're already prone or wing or whatever, and just add a foil drive to it. And then the price point of that is way lower too than the Fliteboard and the LiftX, you know, being much cheaper overall setup price. I also feel like this was the most performance out of them. I'm riding my standard prone setup, and I was able to really carve and maneuver a lot more than I was on those boards with the heavier batteries. And also I was able to pump this board probably the best out of them. Between this and the amp, those two I could pump way better than I could with the Fliteboard and the LiftX, which are, you know, more of an e-foil feel, where you start coming into a more of a foil assist feel with the foil drive itself. Some of the other things I really liked about it is they have a travel battery option. So if you are going on a plane, that's really nice. You can take the travel battery with you. And that makes it great if you do a lot of flights. You can also get different mast height options for this. So you can put the propulsion system wherever you want, depending on the cable that you buy. And it's also fairly configurable with a high power motor. They have a 3-blade prop option, 2-blade prop. So there's different options and things to mess around with this as well. Which kind of comes to my cons on the foil drive. I call it more of like a tinkerer's type toy, whereas there's a lot of adjustments and things that you need to kind of tweak and find what works well for you and your setup, whereas those other boards are basically out of the box, ready to go. They're going to ride really well and smooth. If you like to tweak things and change things and try things and adjust, then I think the foil drive is perfect. If you're one of those guys like I don't want to, or girls that don't want to touch it, and you just want it to work out of the box, then I think you're leaning more towards those. And there's got a lot of little parts and bits and pieces, so assembly takes a little while. It's not something you want to be taking on and off your normal, prone setup every time. You kind of want to set it, at least have a dedicated mast to it, because taking it on and off the mast takes a little bit more time than you'd like for it to have. So I think if they made that a little bit more quick connect, that would definitely change things. The overall connectivity of it with the hand controller is not as good as those other options. It can be kind of sporadic in and out. Sometimes you got to touch it to the board. You got to make sure the board's above the water, that kind of thing. The hand controller is not very intuitive to use. It doesn't automatically go onto the percent of the battery life screen. You got to change that and kind of hook it up to the app. And the batteries are definitely not as protected. You got to take care of them more, be careful with them. All the bits and pieces are a little more fragile, and kind of just not as bulky and beefed up and high end as, for instance, the Fliteboard and the LiftX. Then moving on to the Fliteboard amp. So the amp board, haven't spent as much time on this as the rest of them, but overall I think this has probably one of the more performance, probably close to the foil drive, if not a little bit more in actual performance, where the weight is really balanced and you don't have that propulsion system on the mast, so you have way less drag, which is really nice when you're really trying to rip turns and carve and have that performance feel. It's really quiet, so you really don't hear it, especially once you get up. The noise goes away completely and you're pumping and riding a wave. Even people next to you don't hear it, whereas like the foil drive I think is probably the loudest of the bunch. When the prop's sticking out halfway out of the water, it makes a lot of noise. The other thing I like about the amp is that you can travel with the batteries just like the foil drive options, so that gives you the ability to take it wherever you want to go. And you can also use the amp board without the actual jet. You could put the foam cartridge in it and you could take it out and use it just as a normal board. So you kind of get a prone board or a wing board, depending on which one you buy, and you get this little jet assist as well. So that's a nice thing. As far as safety goes, there's no prop, so super safe. You don't have to worry about getting cut on anything. I think that's a big plus as well. Going into the cons of the amp, I mean, a lot of it's still too early for us to know fully because we haven't had them very long, but you can't really motor around like you can with all the other options. Once you get up, you're limited to how much you can pump or ride waves, or you're going to have to lay back down and jet into another wave. And you do need a wave to kind of get up and get foiling. So that's kind of a con compared to the others. If you want to go out there and get as much time as maximize your time, you might not have that with the amp that you would with the other options. It does require some surf or prone skills. It's not just as easy to hop on and do if you haven't done those sports as the other options are. So that can be kind of a con to some people. And they don't have that assist prop option yet. They are planning on making an assist prop option, so more like the foil drive or these other options here as well. Right now that's not out, and I mean the only other con I can say is that we haven't had them long enough to really test them as of this video. It's July in 2025 right now, but time will tell on that. And so overall, I think these are all great options, and now I'm going to kind of discuss what I think is the best option for you depending on what you want to do. Take a breath and I'm going to do that. All right, so if you are coming from an e-foil, for instance, and you want to take that to the next level, I think the LiftX is for you. It's going to give you that surfy feel, but familiar e-foil feel as well. But you can also progress into the higher propulsion unit and honestly just have a blast with it. If you're the type of person that's looking for something simple, easy to use to get out in the waves, or just get out there and get a quick session, break it down, put it back away, then I think the LiftX is also the type of board for you. If you're looking for just going out and riding smooth, small little swell, or you're looking to do like kind of longer downwinders and you want that reliability and again ease of use, LiftX all the way. I think if you're looking for getting a little more performance out of a e-foil type feel, I think the Fliteboard Ultra L2 is going to be the board for you, especially if you're willing to upgrade to the Flitelab foils as they come out. I think that's really going to open up this Fliteboard Ultra L2. I mean, I think if you don't mind, a little bit more assembly, and if you want a little bit more out of the app and the smoother start acceleration, I think the Fliteboard Ultra is going to be the board for you. This can be used in small to medium, head-high size waves as well, and it would probably also work really well for downwinders once you get the right foils for it. If you are just looking to get as much time on the water coming from proning or something like that, and you want to still have that lighter, more maneuverable, playful, prone type feel, then you probably be looking more towards the foil drive, especially if you already have a foil setup and you don't want to spend the money to buy one of these options. Then the foil drive is a great option to kind of get in a little bit less expensive, especially if you already have your stuff already and you're like, I like my foil gear, I don't want to have to buy a whole new foil set and everything else. Then yeah, I think foil drive is great. If you want to get more time just kind of motoring around and then riding a little swell, then probably go with the max. If you're a good proner already and you just want to get a few more waves in that session and kind of maybe motor way out to an outside set that you see once you're up and foiling, but you don't mind using a little wave to kind of get in and don't mind paddling around a little bit, then you might want to go with the foil drive slim. That's kind of what I've been riding on that, because I'm still kind of using it to paddle. I'm still paddling, kind of just using it to get back out and motor around and catch waves that I normally wouldn't be able to get up on. And again, similar, if you are already a pretty good prone foil surfer and or a winger, and you just want to get a little bit more on waves that are not breaking or downwinders, and you just need that extra little push, where some days it's just like, I almost had that wave, but I couldn't quite get it, and you just need that extra little push, then I think the Flitelab Amp is going to be for you. That way you can ride whatever foil setup you want, you get a little more push, it's kind of a sneaky, you're not motoring around, you almost can't tell that you're on it, it's quiet, but you'll get out there and you'll get those waves that you normally might not have gotten, and you can get on them a little bit earlier and still have that performance and pumpability that you're kind of used to. And I think that's a good overall breakdown. I mean, honestly, all these products are great. They both have their pros and cons as we've gone through. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. We'll try to answer them as fast as we can. And please make sure to like and subscribe and keep on watching. Thanks, guys.